Our next Aranda Award recipient is Judge Bruce Chan from the San Francisco Superior Court. Judge Chan was appointed to the San Francisco Court as a judge in 2009. He is a founding judicial leader of the San Francisco Young Adult Court, established in 2015 as the very first court in the nation designed for young adults aged 18 through 25 facing felony charges. Over the past decade, he has developed a collaborative justice model that addresses the unique needs of low-income young adults impacted by poverty, trauma, and systemic marginalization. The Young Adult Court focuses on accountability and transformative opportunities, and his work has influenced similar programs nationwide, and he is admired nationwide for all that he has done. Additionally, Judge Chan co-founded the Asian American Recovery Services and contributed to the creation of a juvenile drug treatment court here in San Francisco. Let's watch a video that celebrates Judge Chan and the tremendous impact he has made on advancing access to justice.
Judge Chan recognized that young adults have a very different need when it comes to life, when it comes to treatment or not treatment or challenges. And so the idea of Young Adult Court was born. It's a way to increase public safety by really meeting young people where they're at, seeing what they need to be successful. It could be education, safe housing, it could be trauma treatment, it could be addressing substance use. And the court seeks to sort of find out what that is, find the right tools to address it. Judge Chan and Selena Hennessy, who's the clinical director, they go all over the country speaking at conferences, at other courts, and we take calls almost every month from some state or some county that is very, very interested in what it is we've created here. And he's a wonderful, wonderful advocate for that.
He was always interested in community-based issues, objectives. He was one of the founding members of the Asian American Recovery Services that was specifically set up to address youth in the Asian community that had become addicted to drugs and got in trouble with the criminal justice system. So it was natural for him, I think, once he established himself on the court, to be interested in something like Young Adult Court. He saw that there was a need for specialized attention in a specialized court for this particular age group. He saw that we were treating 18, 19, even 23, 24-year-olds the same way we treated 40-year-olds. The way he deals with the 18 to 25-year-olds in his court is really remarkable. By virtue of himself and the court that he got going, has made all of the judges more sensitive to, okay, what's the age of the defendant that I have here? What would be the best outcome here? He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to encourage them. And I think that's something that I've always admired about him.
He'll really work with the person. What do you think would work for you? What's not working? How can we make this better? That kind of unselfish, low ego approach, I think, just permeates everything Bruce does, but it makes him particularly well suited to this court. He's not looking for a title or anything else. He'll be embarrassed when he gets this award. He'll be embarrassed when he watches this video, and he'll try to shift everything to being about Young Adult Court and the staff and the lawyers and the other people who are involved, and take the spotlight off himself. But I'm just glad that he's actually getting a little bit of spotlight for once.
An unsung hero, obviously, who has done so much for the San Francisco Court and justice across our state. To present the award to Judge Chan, please welcome back Judge Kaufman and Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Justice Hill. Good afternoon. It is my distinct honor as president of the California Judges Association to present one of the Aranda Access to Justice Awards here today. As you've all heard, this award recognizes judges whose work has fundamentally expanded the promise of justice, fairness, and dignity for those who come before our courts. Our next honoree is the Honorable Bruce Chan of the Superior Court of the County of San Francisco. Now, Judge Chan's career is really a tapestry woven from a profound understanding of both the law and the human condition. He's a Stanford graduate, former trial lawyer with the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, but he's viewed our system from a number of different perspectives. From that perspective as a criminal defense lawyer, also as chief counsel to the Assembly Public Safety Committee, and for the past decade and a half as a judge here in San Francisco. But we honor him today with this pioneering vision he had, which you've heard a little bit about. This vision bridges the gap between the bench in his courtroom and really a modern neuroscience lab. About a decade ago, Judge Chan helped conceive and then presided over this groundbreaking young adult court here in San Francisco. This court, when you think about it, is built on a revolutionary and compassionate premise that the brains of 18 to 25-year-olds are still developing, particularly in areas governing both impulse control and risk assessment. As scientific research suggests, this neurological immaturity doesn't excuse crime, but it does demand a different response and a different approach, one focused on rehabilitation rather than simply on punishing. Judge Chan's courtroom became basically a laboratory for second chances. He presided not with cold detachment, but with a more engaged type of humanity. He asked those who appeared in front of him about things such as GED progress, being home with young kids and the sleep schedules that impacted, and about their prospects, job interviews. He and the team that he had wrapped around young adults, generally facing felony charges, with a coordinated web of support that included housing support, therapy, education, and employment. The results that were brought about speak volumes. Where a more traditional path may often lead to a lifetime of collateral consequences, recidivism, Judge Chan's approach and the approach of his court has seen graduates able to break cycles of trauma, addiction, and homelessness. His graduates have left this court not as hardened criminals, but as employed parents, students, and contributing members of society. By their own report, graduates have said they simply aren't the same person they were before they left young adult court. So this approach, Judge Chan's commitment to restorative justice, is rooted, as you've heard, in a lifetime of service beyond the bench. He was a founding member of Asian American Recovery Services. He served on a number of boards, including the Chinatown Youth Center and the Asian Law Caucus. It's clear that he understands that true justice requires investment in the community. So Judge Chan, you've shown all of us that the law can be both smart and merciful. You've answered the call to build a more equitable system. In your case, it's one young adult at a time. You've given what could just be a theoretical promise of access to justice, a very unique, living, breathing, and in the end, profoundly successful form. So for your visionary leadership and your unwavering compassion and your dedication to ensuring that our legal system provides young adults with access to a bespoke form of justice tailored to their particularized needs, it is my great privilege to present you with the Aranda Access to Justice Award.
Now it's time to go. Thanks. I'm a little overwhelmed, to say the least, because like most trial court judges, until this started happening 10 years ago or so, my preference was always to toil in relative obscurity, which is the ambition of most trial court judges.
And I want to do a special thank you to Judge Jessner, who reminded me that no, it's not time for you to go up there just yet. Wait till they introduce you. Boy, I wish you were my presiding judge in San Francisco at some point. You would have steered me right. One of the highlights of today was getting to meet Justice Gilbert in person. I've been reading his columns for years. I went up to him, I said, I like your stuff, it's great. And you know what happened? What he did? He said he's going to send me a book. So for those of you who are looking to save a little money, just tell Arthur Gilbert he's great. Thank you, Judge Kaufman, for the very kind introduction, and to the Chief Justice and all the members of the council for having me here today and this great honor. As you heard, we started our court 10 years ago because 18 to 25-year-olds are overrepresented in the criminal justice system in proportion to their percentage of the overall population. And at the same time, we all know that transitional age youth have this incredible capacity to learn and to change. I know we have some trial court judges here in the room and some appellate court justices who maybe are trying to forget what those days were like. But when you're facing a young person who's committed a serious crime, I mean, how many times have you wished that there was a residential treatment program where people understood their behavior, where there were educational and vocational training provided by professionally trained supportive adults, where the young person was positively occupied during most of the day, and if they were spending time with peers, that those peers were doing the same thing. Well, we have programs like that in every one of our jurisdictions. It's called college. And for us, the real issue has always been, should how we respond to the inevitable missteps of young people depend on income and access to higher education? Judge Kaufman talked about the neuroscience, and I'm not going to go through and give you the dumbed-down version of neuroscience because it's taken me 10 years to be moderately conversant about that. But I would just ask you to consider this. If you were ever under the age of 25, were you ever able to rent a car from Avis or Hertz? Or did they say, we can rent you a car, but it's going to cost you an additional $500? You know, that bastion of neuroscience, the rental car business, they understand something about young adults in that they tend not to control their emotions really well, and their decision-making can be somewhat flawed. I know we have parents of teenagers and young adults here. We all were in that stage at one point. But if you ask any parent of a teenager or young adult, they'll tell you that while their son or daughter can cast a ballot, they can enlist in the armed forces, they can drink in a bar, they can drive a car, they can go get inked in a tattoo parlor, they still have an awful lot to learn. First, they have to continue their education. Then they have to learn how to get up in the morning on time to get to work, to figure out what to do when they get there and how to get along with others. They have to understand for themselves who should be their partner and hopefully a healthy relationship. They have to, while striving for that sense of self, they have to understand in their hearts and know that life is going to have a series of ups and downs. There are going to be challenges. There's going to be, hopefully, a parent, a teacher, a coach, a relative, or some responsible adult who's willing to listen and to offer a helping hand at some point. I think the bottom line for us has always been we want to develop resilient young people who will understand that there will be challenges. It's not a question of will there be, it's a question of when. And we want them to have both the emotional and practical skills to navigate those inevitable ups and downs. This work from the outset for me has always been deeply personal. You heard reference to my prior career, but as a young public defender in the early 1980s, I represented countless clients who were being prosecuted for possessing and selling small amounts of crack cocaine, typically $20. Many, if not most, sold in order to consume, to fuel their own addiction. And nonetheless, during that era, the demands of the never-ending war on drugs was to prosecute and to imprison predominantly black men whose use of drugs by virtue of their economic disadvantage occurred on city streets or public housing courtyards rather than in upscale nightclubs, bars, or within private homes. Certainly, when I was a lawyer in that era, there were fewer treatment alternatives than today. There were no drug courts. And moreover, the prevailing belief amongst judges and prosecutors was that if a person previously didn't seek help or was unsuccessful in treatment, he or she wouldn't be given another chance, except in rare instances. We now know, over the years, that the first attempt at treatment is often unsuccessful. Depending on the duration and severity of one's addiction, it may take a while, several tries at least, punctuated by episodes of relapse before the person can achieve sobriety. And even back in the 1980s, the results were abundantly clear. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters were cycling in and out of jail, prison, and addiction. Grandparents were doing their best to raise children instead of their incarcerated parents. And not only were the elderly fraying under the burden of being full-time parents, so were the institutions that define and bind together communities. As public defenders, we could do little to either stop or slow a court system that seemed to us intent on punishing instead of treating addiction. The clients that you may have heard about in young adult court, they are the children and the grandchildren of the people that I represented as a lawyer. Most, if not all of them, have been neglected. They've witnessed extreme violence, persistent poverty, and critically, they've lacked the parental example and guidance that's the key to having someone transition successfully into adulthood. So in many ways, our court is an after-the-fact substitute for something that should have happened years ago. 10 years on, 200 graduates later, we've made one small step in trying to right a wrong. We've started to straighten something out that's been crooked for far too long. At the dedication of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., President George W. Bush said, "A great nation does not hide its history. It faces its flaws and corrects them." And that's been the story of the judiciary in California. Our collaborative courts are dedicated to the proposition that we cannot arrest our way out of complex social problems. Beginning under the leadership of Chief Justice George and continuing with Chief Justice Cantil Sakaue and, of course, Chief Justice Guerrero, California has created and supported drug courts throughout the state. Learning from our neglect of those men and women who served in Vietnam, there are veterans justice courts to address the myriad issues and the myriad needs of those who served in the Middle East and beyond. And now, relying upon the neuroscience of the developing brain, not as an excuse, but as an explanation, we have young adult courts. And I see Judge Hernandez is here, a proud, I think it's birth parent of the Orange County Young Adult Court. If you ask any of the presiding judges in any of the 58 counties, I think they'll tell you that their courts are like an emergency room in a busy public hospital. Every day, we confront these intractable, difficult social problems, whether it be homelessness, mental illness, chronic poverty, child abuse, and neglect, to name a few. But we as judges have a real chance to make an impact upon our communities by investing in young people. And that's what's been the most satisfying thing about this. My children are here today along with my wife. They've been great teachers to me about the vagaries of being a transitional age youth. I haven't used some of the counseling skills I used on them. It's usually been more of an enlightened dictatorship, as Judge Justin referred to. But to give you just a flavor of our court, and I know I could talk for another hour if I was given that, and I'm coming up on my 9 minutes. Let me tell you what we tell our participants from day one. You're going to come to court every week in the beginning. We're going to work together, not telling you, but we're going to work together to create a plan around the goals you want to achieve. And we're going to hold you accountable to those goals, and we'll respond to both success and to those occasions when you come up short. We're going to problem solve together, whether it's housing, food assistance, replacing your Social Security card, getting health care, taking the driving test, paying off all those parking and moving violations that you had when you were an unlicensed driver, finishing school, and of course, trying to find suitable childcare. But most important of all, there are going to be honest and at times difficult conversations in order to understand what brought you to us in the first place. What was the impact of your conduct upon others? And what are the steps that you can take to achieve some form of success in life as you define it? And it's been, hands down, the most enjoyable thing I've ever done as a judge. It's been a privilege to be part of the journey of so many young people. And for the 200 graduates, I feel like my family expanded from 2 kids to 202. This award, I'm the recipient, but in many ways it's to be shared with all the members of the team, many of whom are here today. And your dedication to not giving up, not quitting on people has been something that's inspired me. I'll close just by saying one of our participants a long time ago, I told him, I said, you know, as a court, as a team, we don't quit on people easy, but I can't have you quit on yourself. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, after he'd been falling short on things, he talked to his case manager and says, you know something, I really feel like I was quitting on myself. It's those moments that have enriched me, and I am so grateful to the Judicial Council for this award. And on behalf of the entire team, it's something we're going to cherish forever. So thank you very much. I had to give it back.